the best way to think about where we are today is if 9/11 met the 2009 crisis and they had a child. So this is basically like 9/11 in that it came out of nowhere, like two planes hitting the two towers. But it's also like 2008, 2009, because in effect, it's a very quickly a financial crisis that is deep and reverberating. And the best way to think about this is your money is my wages and my spending is your wages. And when we can't do that, it brings the economy to a halt. So it's both the shock from outside plus a major change happening at the same time. So it's much more than a recession. It's much more than a one-time systematic shock. It's much more than financial. So it's a broader and deeper thing than anything that has gone before, at least that I can recall. That's number one. The other way to think about it is this is like an asteroid has hit the Earth. And the Earth went on after the asteroids hit, as I expect society and all of us to go on. But one of the things the asteroids did take out were dinosaurs. And therefore, there will be certain business models, certain businesses, certain organizations that will never come back. And some of those you're beginning to sort of understand. And that's the sort of the way to think about it. So, and the third is when you basically close down the global world economy in stages, but you close it down for a minimum of what I think will be 6 to 8 weeks and potentially 12. You don't restart it without people having different mindsets. That it's like someone has thwacked you in the head again and again. When you come out on the other side, you look and you think and you feel differently. And we have to keep those three things in mind. So that's the context of what this is. It's 9/11 marrying 2008, 2009. It's an asteroid hitting the Earth, and it's a mindset shift coming out. That's a framing of the way I look at it. The challenge, there will be challenges initially, and there will be opportunities coming out of this. So looking at the challenges, there are three sets of challenges. And there is one challenge, which is clearly a personal human challenge, which is going to be the most intense of all. And that is many people falling sick, many thousands of people dying. If you just look at the statistics, it's hundreds of thousands of people and maybe millions falling sick, and potentially tens of thousands of people dying. So it's that. If you just do the straight line math, even if we're somewhere between China and Italy, that's unfortunately what it is. So that's the one big tragic thing, and that's the biggest tragic thing. The second one is many, many, many people's livelihoods will never come back. For instance, it is unlikely that I would expect that only 3 out of every 4 restaurants that have closed will come back as restaurants. And that's basically optimistic because that business was day to day. You close it down, many people lose their jobs, big issue, right? It's also very possible that not every airline, there's a marginal airline falls apart. There's something else that falls apart. So people losing their jobs, people losing their lives is number one, the most horrible thing in the world. The second is people losing their jobs, and their livelihood is the second. And that is real, and we have to sort of face it. And the third is as we go through this, we are going to basically have very much a time of amazing anxiety because none of us have faced any of this, and we have a lot of different pressures. So I want to frame that first as this is really a human challenge more than anything else. Now I move to the world of marketing, but recognizing that the world of marketing that does not accept that this is a human challenge should all those marketers should just close themselves down because this is really a human challenge at first. Now, when you think about from a marketing perspective, there are 3 key things that I would suggest to people. Number one is something that they basically control, or they can try to control, which is there are 2 things you can control right now, besides social distancing and washing your hands, which are both very important. You can basically control what you are as a human being and as a leader. And, I have studied this in great detail, and I wrote it for it works. But in my book, I have a chapter called How to Lead with Soul. And in that, I basically talk about 5 characteristics. I would ask every marketer, every business person to dial up these 5 characteristics. One is capability. Show that you are capable, even if you are working at home with limited stuff, to actually do your job. Capability is important. Second is integrity. Like never before, people have to trust you, trust your word, because often you're going to basically tell people in uncertain times. Third is empathy. Not only understanding your ultimate client, but understanding your employees and anybody you're working with, because in addition to them being anxious, many of them are likely to have to look after kids or parents are struggling to figure out how to get maybe toilet paper and a whole bunch of other things. So this is becoming personal. And the third is vulnerability, or the fourth is vulnerability, which is, it's very, very important to recognize and to know that you yourself are concerned about the future and what will happen to not only the world, but your business and your firm. And finally, with all of those, inspiration, that this too will end, and to a great extent. A positive way of looking at this, assuming everything works out, which I think it will, is all of us have been given 12 weeks to reconsider life, to reconsider ourselves, to reconsider our families. So all that's really positive.